Hello, and thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Makisha. I am your Power of One life coach, and I am a marriage and family therapist, a relationship coach, and I am here to talk about something most people don't talk about until they are actually faced with the situation. And that is, how comfortable are you with your spouse or your partner having a friendship with someone of the opposite sex? Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about this evening. Someone asked me to talk about this topic, so I told them I would. And we're going to talk about, what does that look like for you? Are you comfortable with it? Are you okay with your spouse or your long-term partner actually being in a not a relationship, being in a friendship with someone of the opposite sex? It may be a coworker, it may be someone that they have been friends with for 15, 20, 30 years. They may have been childhood friends, they may have been um, friends of the family. This is someone they may have known for a long time, or it could be someone they have known just for maybe a year or two. It's always been platonic. There has never been anything romantic between the two of them. They have simply been friends. How comfortable are you with your partner, your spouse, having a relationship with someone of the opposite sex? So, we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to ask you, please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you had a situation where you had to deal with someone of the opposite sex being in a friendship with your spouse or your committed partner, and how did you handle that? So, we're going to tackle that. If this encourages you or you think someone can be encouraged by it, please share it. Please add a comment. Please subscribe and set the notification bell so you'll know when I am uploading a new video. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, what are some of the concerns with having a relationship with someone of the opposite sex when you are married? And for some people, when I say a partner, I'm talking about someone who is a life partner to you. The two of you may have decided you don't want to be married, but you're in a committed relationship where that is still your person, and you all look at one another as a life partner. So that's what we're talking about today. Give you some context around what I'm talking about when I say partner or spouse. So, what are some concerns? One is trust, which is a big one. It is so important to make sure when you are in a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, your partner, your spouse, should know that person. They should have a relationship with them or be open to developing a relationship with that person, because it should be a friendship between the three of you. If it is not a relationship between the three of you, it can erode the trust in your marriage, in your relationship, because you may wonder, well, what are you hiding? What are the two of you hiding if you are not, if the three of us can't have that friendship? And when you're on the outside of a relationship, so let's just say, I'm just going to make up some names. Let's just say Sally and Tom are married, and and Tom has a friend named Mary. Sally may feel like, well, why can't she be friends with Mary? And by Sally being on the outside looking in, sometimes she can see some things that her husband can't see because he is too close to it and he is too involved in the friendship. So, when your spouse is asking you to be open and honest about the friendship, that is something the two of you actually should be with one another. There should be no hiding of text messages. If you and your spouse or partner have an agreement that you check each other's phones, that's a conversation for a whole nother day. There should be no problem with you all talking to the person, the opposite sex person, in front of your spouse or your mate. Whatever you would do with the same sex friend, talk in front of your spouse or partner. If your partner or spouse saw the text messages, you wouldn't feel like you needed to be embarrassed by it. You don't feel like you need to delete anything. Anything you do with the opposite sex should be as clean and trusting as it would be for someone of the same sex. It is important to be transparent and not to hide anything because trust is important. The other thing is, you want to make sure, let's just say, I don't know if everyone has heard this, but I've heard people say this before. This is my work wife or my work husband. For some people, that absolutely gripe them when they hear that. And there are others where they get it, they don't see where there is any harm in it, they don't think anyone mean anything by it, and they're okay with it when someone says that. But how do you feel about that? If your spouse is calling someone at work their work wife or work husband, what does that mean to you? How does that feel to you? What does that do to your spirit inside when they say that? Is this something that you have possibly dealt with before? Is it something that you think someone should not call another person because the sanctity of marriage is holy and no one should be described as someone else's spouse except for the spouse themselves? Tell me your thoughts on that. Let's just say you do have someone that you go to lunch with at work, or is someone you look at as your work spouse, so to speak. How close are you? What are you sharing with them? When we break bread together, for some people, that's an intimate experience, especially depending upon culture. So there are times when people at work will get together, they will go out, or they will have potluck, or they will order in, and people will sit together and they will talk. And sometimes it's a big group, and sometimes people break off into smaller groups, or it's just one-on-one or 2 or 3 people. What are you doing in a work spouse relationship? How are you conducting yourself? What are some conversations you're sharing? If you're one-on-one and you're talking to someone of the opposite sex, are you all strictly talking about work, the kids, the weather? Or are you eventually getting around to talking about more intimate things about your marriage, about your spouse? Once you start doing that, you are treading on thin ice because you are now opening up emotional things, things that are private for your marriage. You're opening them up to this other person, and you all can become emotionally involved without even realizing it. And before you realize it, there could be an emotional affair going on. You may not have ever kissed, you may not hold hands, you may not have had sex, you may not be touching one another, but an emotional affair has started because the two of you began breaking bread together. You were having lunch together. This is the person who may remind you, hey, don't forget we have a meeting today. This is a person who may say, hey, do you have some work and you need help with it? I will help you with it. When something's going on, you all look out for each other at work. You have some of the tendencies that a spouse would have for you. They're your protector. They look out for you. They're trying to make sure you are right. They want to make sure you're good. If they're running out for lunch, they ask you, do you want something? We're not talking about something where it's done in a group setting. I'm talking about where it's done one-on-one. Be very careful when you are alone with someone of the opposite sex. It can give the appearance of something that is not on board with a man or a woman who is married. It can come off as if the relationship you are having with the person you're having lunch with or breakfast with or coffee with, it can come off as though it is something other than what it is. And we want to stay away from the very appearance of evil. Scripture tells us that. We want to make sure we are doing things that honor God and honor our marriage, honor the covenant we have taken. So we want to be aware of what we are projecting, what we're putting out there for everyone to see. If you are going to lunch with someone other than your spouse, are you telling them? Are you asking them if they're okay with it? When you have a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, you want to make sure your partner is very much aware of that person, what you're doing with that person, and you want to ask them, are they okay with it? Because their opinion should matter. You should not want to have a friendship at the expense of your committed relationship or your marriage. You should want to value and prioritize your marriage over the friendship, even if you all have been friends for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. You've known them longer than what you've known your spouse. I get it. And it is important to have relationships of the same sex as well as opposite sex because it breeds diversity in thought, diversity in knowledge. It creates a network for us, and it allows us to get to know people who may be of a different culture, different race, different religion. It gives us the opportunity to grow and learn. You can do that by still making sure you're protecting your marriage and you're not in situations that can create a downfall in your marriage or deplete trust. The other thing you want to make sure you are aware of when you are involved in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, how are you allowing them into your space, your physical space and your emotional space? Because it is important to have those boundaries in place. And one of the boundaries may be you don't call each other my work spouse or husband spouse. Or there may be certain things you just don't talk about. They're off limits. There should always be boundaries in every single relationship you have. I don't care what kind of relationship it is. It can be with family, it can be with friends of the same sex or different sex. There should always be boundaries. So when you are talking to someone of the opposite sex, I ask you, what boundaries do you have in place to minimize the possibility of both of you crossing the line? You should not be having intimate conversations about what your needs are, what the deficits are in your marriage, what your spouse is or isn't doing, because it gives the enemy an opportunity to come in and take advantage of that situation. And like I said a moment ago, before you know it, you could be entangled in what some of you all call a situationship, but you can be entangled in an emotional affair or a sinful situation. The other thing is I want to talk about is making sure when you are thinking about having someone with the opposite sex, I want you to ask yourself, why do you feel so strongly about having that person as your dear friend, someone who is like you may describe them as a sister or a brother to you? They you may feel like you treat each other that way, and it may be totally innocent and platonic. There aren't very many men, I'm not saying there aren't any, but there aren't very many men who can truly be a friend and platonic with a woman without secretly desiring her in some type of way, sexually, in a relationship with her, something beyond the friendship. It can happen. I've had those friendships. It can happen. My spouse is also friends with him. He knows him. We don't talk on a regular basis. So I know it can be done, but that has to be done in the right way. And it has to be done to where it's comfortable for the spouse. And I would ask you, why do you care so much about that friendship to where it is taking a priority over you honoring the vows you've taken and respecting your spouse? So the bottom line is this: You have to decide what is right for you and your spouse and your partner. Only the two of you can determine what I call the boundaries, the guidelines, the decisions of your marriage and your relationship. Only the two of you can decide that. If you all are very happy and you're content with your spouse or your partner having a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, and you don't necessarily know them or you do not care to really get to know them and you're comfortable with that, blessings to you. I would just simply say you may be opening up the door to have something happen that would not possibly happen otherwise if the three of you were in a friendship together. I would also ask you, if there is something missing in your relationship with your partner or your spouse, and that is a need that the friend is meeting, are you talking to your spouse, being open, honest, and transparent, and say, hey, this is something I'm missing and I need in this marriage. This is what I need in our friendship. And talk about what that is so you can give each other what you're missing. And that may be what this friend is supplying or what they're giving you or satisfying over here in this friendship with the person of the opposite sex. I would like to believe, and I know as a therapist and as a coach, this does not happen for everyone. So what I'm about to say, I already know how this works for many people. This is something that should be talked about ahead of time, not when it happens, not when the other person is secretly on the phone with someone, or your spouse or partner hangs up when you walk into the room, or they hide their phone and you're thinking, well, there must be an affair. You realize it's someone they work with, or you realize it's someone they call their sister or their brother. Talk about these things up front and talk about your needs. Communication is so important. Communication can change the dynamics of almost every single relationship if individuals would just talk to each other, but they don't. I have been in relationships where that has happened. As a coach and as a therapist, I see it every day where couples don't talk, where individuals in other type of relationships, they don't talk in a healthy, loving, caring way. Are there times when you have to have difficult conversations? Yes, it's part of being in a relationship. Duh. Yes, you have to. Is it comfortable for everyone? No, it is not. But for some, it is a little bit more comfortable, but whether it's comfortable or not, it is a necessity and it should be a requirement in your marriage for you all to have those difficult conversations so you can work through the challenges that come with not talking, without the challenges that come with not communicating like you should, and not communicating about your needs, what you want, what you desire, what you need from your spouse is a pitfall for the success of the marriage. Tell your spouse, tell your life partner what it is you need, what you're missing, what you desire, and be honest with yourself and acknowledge if that person of the opposite sex is giving you that. They're giving you some of the things you wish you had in your spouse. So instead of wishing you had it in your spouse and getting it from this other person, ask your spouse for it. And I will also say this. Make sure you just tell your partner, your spouse up front, hey, I have something I want to talk to you about. It's a little uncomfortable for me. It may be uncomfortable for you as well, but it's something we need to talk about. It may be a difficult conversation for both of us, but we need to have it. And I want to know I have a safe space to share this with you. And I want to know this is a safe space for me to open up and tell you how I feel without you judging me and without you using this against me later. That's one of the reasons why, two of the reasons why individuals do not open up and communicate well in marriages and relationships in general. They do not trust the other person to create a safe space to where they can open up and be honest without judgment. And they do not trust, and this normally happens in spousal situations or couples who are in a long-term relationship. They don't trust them not to bring it back up or weaponize them with it, or um, talk about it in a hurtful way later. No one wants to feel like they're confiding in you and you bring it up later to hurt them. Most people, especially men, it already takes a lot for them to be vulnerable and open up and share what they're thinking and they're feeling. So to use that against them later is not good for them nor the betterment of the marriage, because that will probably shut them down and they will no longer open up and be honest and vulnerable with you. So have the difficult conversations, have them up front. Don't wait until something happens. Establish a boundaries. Make sure you're doing everything you can not to erode trust. You want to do everything you can to have a happy, loving, caring, peaceful, honest marriage. You want to prioritize your marriage, prioritize your spouse, and honor the vows that you have taken. I know you go through rough times, and I know it can be difficult, but it does not mean you find solace in someone of the opposite sex, especially when the marriage isn't going well, because that presents itself as an opportunity for the enemy to come in and play tricks with you, and before you realize it, you're involved in an emotional and or physical affair. So I hope this helped in some type of way, and I hope you will think twice about why you are so headstrong, or why you feel so strongly about having a friendship with someone of the opposite sex when your spouse or life partner has told you they don't like it and they have told you the reason why. I'm not talking about someone who is insecure, someone who is full of jealousy. They feel insecure about most things. They're jealous of most things. That's not the type of person I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who is typically reasonable. They have given you concrete reasons why they have concerns, and they are asking you to listen to them and respect how they're feeling. So leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about spouses having friendships with someone of the opposite sex, and let me know if you have experienced it and how did you handle it. Again, this is Makisha. I am the Power of One life coach, and I am also a marriage and family therapist here in Georgia. If you're interested in having a 15-minute consultation to see if it will be the right fit for me to be your therapist, you can look me up at sitesickle.com. That is where you can find me. Or if you're interested in working with me as a coach, you can send me a message as well, and I will get back in touch with you for us to schedule a consultation for that as well, to see if we are good for each other, a good fit for each other for us to work together. Please like, share, comment, set up your notifications, and I'll see you next Tuesday on the next video. Make it a great one.